Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Established in 2014, DeLuna Coffee is owned and operated by the Lemmix family. Ed, Courtney, and their son Brett. Ed graduated from FSU in 1979, Brett in 2009. Lifelong fans and Florida State boosters, the Lemmixes attend multiple football games every year where you can find them tailgating near the Unconquered statue. Pull up a chair and pour yourself a Palafox Place. Named after the main hub, Palafox Place in downtown Pensacola, DeLuna has combined a Brazilian, Colombian, and African bean to give it just the right flavor. This coffee can be enjoyed any time of the day. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Azan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Where's your crown king? Nothing.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant. It's fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Promo code WARCHANT15 saves you 15% over at DeLunaCoffee.com. Go hop over there, grab yourself the best coffee around, courtesy of our great friends, the Lemmix family. Big-time Florida State fans, boosters. They tailgate. They cheer. I think they're going to be really excited on Sunday and Monday and every day following. Next week, Corey. Feeling good about this one as we go into Clemson week. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Housing great stories from Ira and Corey. All of Corey's hard work yesterday, Monday, mashing away every word uttered by every coach. Feel it. Embrace it. We're here, Corey. This is I don't know, man, I'm trying to think. Like Miami game 16, going into this is huge. This is everything, your whole life, this is your whole life. Like Duke yelling at Rocky in the corner, between rounds against Drago in Moscow. Are you ready, man?
Yeah, buddy. Sure. I mean, I feel like we've covered bigger games of this. Maybe not you and me collectively as a Wake Up Warchant, but, when you're around Florida State, for a long time, you cover maybe bigger games than two teams that are combined 7-7. But still, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this team looks like after feeling good about itself now for a month, what that product looks like on Saturday.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not – maybe I'm blowing this up more than it really is. I just feel this is – man, they're ripe for the taking. I really think Florida State's going to go in there and beat them. I think this is a big deal. I think there's a lot of –
When was the last time Clemson lost at home?
I don't care.
Norvell brought up that streak. I'm genuinely asking. I'm not saying Florida State can't do it. I wasn't even thinking about that streak, but Norvell brought it up a couple of times on Monday when we talked to him about their home streak.
Pitt beat them 15, I think, or maybe the year they won the national title 16. I remember Pitt, they had a guy blew it who actually kicked it and made the field goal against them.
He's the guy that ended up replacing Dustin Hopkins in Washington.
Yeah.
So it's been 5 years since they lost at home? That seems about right. Like, nobody in the ACC's beaten them.
And then they lost to Syracuse, I think, in the Carrier Dome. Those are the only ones I remember.
They lost to NC State this year in Raleigh.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since they've lost up there. So that's one streak. But, it's got to happen sooner or later. And you're right. They are ripe for the picking.
But it's not a superior team. It's not a juggernaut. That's why I think Norvell was so candid when he talked about we realize all this stuff. We're not scared of it. That's me putting words in his mouth. But I mean, he did mention you because you asked him. You're like, hey, they're kind of the standard in this conference. This is a big deal. Actually, I'm putting words in your mouth now. What was the question you asked him? I thought that was the best question of the day to Norvell, and his answer I thought was extremely candid.
Well, I crush it. What I do, I'm not like Ira. It's just quantity. It's just a lot of shots. He might hit it. He might get a headshot. I'm a sniper. I come in with one question per coach and try to get them right in the temple.
Right in the solar plexus.
I would say so. My question was basically look, they won a close game. They went up to North Carolina and played really well on the road. Kind of played a complete game, and then came and took care of business against a bad team. I didn't think I called them bad, but maybe not good is what I phrased UMass. They took care of business. Is this the next step for a program? This building, this environment, this team. Do you? Because I basically said, like, yeah, every game is a test. We get it. But is this a unique test for where this program is and where it's being built to go on the road and play in that environment? And, yeah, that's what he said. He's like, yeah. He goes, we know they're the standard. When you're building a program, there's all these things you got to check the boxes of. And this is me talking. But you do have to check the boxes of, okay, you go from losing close games to winning close games. All right, you go from not playing well on the road to playing well on the road and winning comfortably. You go from losing to an outmanned opponent to beating the bejesus out of an outmanned opponent. Can you go beat a team like this in a place like that? Again, like we talked about, a place that they haven't lost in 5 years, one of the, 3 or 4 toughest places to play in the country, one of the 3 or 4 loudest places to play in the country.
Are you anticipating all that? See, I'm not anticipating that. I think the fans are giving up on this team. You think so?
I'm telling you.
Okay.
I've been there. Maybe it was different, but I was there in 2008. I was there in 2011, maybe 2009 and 2011. Like, even when Clemson was bad, when Tommy Bowden was their coach, 2007, 2005, 2005 even. Like, it's a noon game, 2005. Clemson's bad. Florida State's pretty good, but not great Florida State. And it's still louder than you can imagine. When Ponder was there, his last game, it was loud. They're just a really good fan base. They show up and they're loud no matter what the program is doing. And I think maybe this one could be like a circle the wagons kind of week for that fan base anyway. Like, hey, you've been good to us for a decade. We're going to try to support you even though you're not very good this year. So, no, I expect it to be a very tough environment. And it's a box to check off, man. This is when you want to get Florida State back to what you think they should be, you've got to play in venues like this and win games like this, or at least play well. Get used to it because this is what you want to be. You want your home venue to be like this. You want atmospheres like this. And yes, it's not a typical Clemson number 2 in the country atmosphere, but it's still it's the best you're going to see this year. Maybe Florida, and it gets you ready for Florida. But yeah, I just think that's another box you check off when you're trying to build a program. It's how, okay, you've shown you can win close games. You can show you win on the road in a little rainy day afternoon in North Carolina where half the people don't show up. And you've shown you can beat the tar out of UMass. Can you play confidently and build on this in an environment like this? It's a whole different ball game. This is another step. Win or lose, are you going to play confidently? Are you going to look competent? Are you going to play well and play like you've been playing? You might not be good enough. But if you play like you've been, can you keep playing like you've been playing even in an environment like this?
But this is their whole MO. Like, we coach them hard. We put them in stressful situations all day so that when the game comes around, there's no surprises. I don't know. I don't see this team shrinking from the moment.
I don't either, but I think you could even tell when we talked to Dillingham. And Dillingham talked about how at North Carolina it was, it was supposed to be a sellout.
Awesome.
But he's like, it was called a sellout, but it was not a sellout. It was probably 60% capacity because it was raining. So calling the North Carolina fans out a little bit. But, Dillingham's not – he knows there's not going to be – I think Norvell said this too. Like, there's not going to be a ton of opportunities to score in this game. Clemson's just too good. You got to take advantage of the opportunities you do get to hit big plays. You're not going to probably have a bunch of 12-play, 80-yard drives against this defense. So that's what I want to see. I want to see how the offense – because the offense has been good now for 3 weeks for the most part. Over 30 points each game. Like we said, they're 13th in the country in rushing. They've established an identity. Can they play like that, not only against a good team, but a good team where it's really loud? They have not experienced – who of these guys has experienced a really loud atmosphere? You know what I mean? Like, that mattered.
But they're 4-3, man. Like, this, we're not playing Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being grossly overconfident.
Well, I just think
respect to them, respect to their fan base. That is a hostile environment, definitely. But man, I don't know.
They're different, man. They're different. I'm telling you because I've been there through all of the 2000s before Dabo got there, and even when Dabo was there and they weren't very good early on, that crowd shows up and it's loud. Man, and that might be because it's Florida State.
It is because that was a good. Even when Florida State was down, it was still Florida State. This is a Florida State team. It's like, I was there Jimbo's first game. What was it, 2007? Yeah. That was like a Labor Day weekend, whatever. But it's an opener. Everyone's going to get really crazy for that game. 19. I mean, I think 19 was the only other time I've been up there. So you obviously been there plenty of more times than I have. But yeah, those early 2000 games, it's still Florida State had a little bit of that cachet. Florida State's always going to have cachet, but those teams were still had bullseyes on their back. Let me play this for everybody. This is Dabo Swinney Sunday kind of in the post-mortem of Pitt. Listen to his words, listen to his tone, and then tell me what you think about this, Corey.
It's just a combination of again, just, immaturity, youth, lack of confidence, and all those things affect your rhythm. And the kids, they're trying hard, and we're just not very good right now. But I believe in these guys. I believe in our coaches, and we gotta keep grinding. And again, I think you got to have good perspective, and I'm thankful for perspective. This is a really bad stretch that we're in.
My guy's talking about perspective like we've won a lot around here. This is a bad stretch. We're just not good right now. We're immature. We have no confidence. I mean, just sounds like they're not going to really be all that great this season. So take advantage of it while you can. He goes on later in that talking about he knows that storms eventually run out of water. So he knows that about perspective. But I don't know, man. I don't think that storm's ending anytime soon. Not ending Saturday.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, let's hope, right? Let's hope that it keeps going for at least another week. I think especially when he's talking about we're not very good, that's all pointed towards the offense because that defense is very good. And again, that's the concern you have is like, look, Clemson might break their barrier and score over 20 points. There's a good chance that happens. But they probably, you hope, aren't going to score 50. I don't know if they're capable of doing that. You're going to have to score 24 to 28 points to win this game probably. That's a tough place to do it against a really good defense and a really good defensive coordinator. But you're right. It's, again, I'm not saying it can't be done. They are a 10-point dog or a 9-point dog for a reason. But 9 points ain't 90. Like, it could be a game. It should be a game. Vegas thinks it's going to be a game. And, that's kind of why I asked Adam Fuller about getting off to an early start. And he was funny about that, too. He's like, yes, I would like to stop him early, if you're asking me that. But Clemson doesn't have any confidence right now on offense. None. The last thing you want to do is either give them a short field, give them a wide-open touchdown pass, and all of a sudden an offense that is just completely down on itself has confidence right away and feels good about itself. Give them a couple of 3-and-outs, give them a couple punts, and then maybe they think about changing the quarterback. Like, give them a reason to not believe. Don't give them any hope and any reason to believe. You look, this is clearly, I don't know, man. Maybe the last time Clemson was like this was 2010. You remember that team? It was the kid that played quarterback. He was also a baseball player. Kyle Parker, maybe?
Look at you.
I think so. It was the year that Hopkins kicked the 55-yard game winner. But Clemson was a better team that year. They just played situations really poorly, including that Florida State game. And then 11 didn't start out well either for them. I think they lost one early to Georgia, maybe lost another one, and then caught fire, ironically against Florida State. And Sammy Watkins turned out to be really good. But it has been a decade since Clemson fans and Dabo Swinney had to listen to the way that guy talks. He talks as if they're 1-6. I mean, he talks as if he's never experienced anything like this. Well, it's been a decade. So it's a really intriguing, interesting time for them, and they are beatable. They know they're beatable. This is the first time they've gone into a Florida State game in 6 years thinking they can actually lose to Florida State. I promise you. Like, they played terribly in 15 against Florida State for that first half, Deshaun Watson did, but they went into that game thinking they were going to house that Florida State team. Same probably thing in 16, even though Florida State played them close. This team thinks they can lose to Florida State. That in and of itself is an accomplishment, but how are you going to take advantage of it? Do these Florida State players really believe they can go up there and beat this team? I think they do. That's half the battle, my man. I know you do. That's another half of the battle. The battle's been won. The players and Aslan both believe Florida State can go up there and win.
I think they're going to win. I have some nightmares. I have some daymares about, like third play of the game, they just throw some sort of 60-yard bomb and that place just goes nuts. And then, maybe the wheel. But no, that's not going to happen. You can't let your mind get there. And if it does, this team has shown that they won't quit. They'll keep fighting out of these bad situations. I don't know, man. again, I just feel as if what they've accomplished here the last few weeks, these are real growth. This is real growth. This is real progress. But then, like, I don't know. Then you start thinking about, well, hey, man, it's not like Mike Norvell's won every single game he's coached in before he came to Florida State. Like, he's lost games. Everybody loses games. Maybe this is. I just can't. I don't know what we've seen the last 3 weeks that'd be like, that's fake. That's not real. That's not going to travel. That won't win against Clemson. Because listen, I wasn't the biggest Jordan Travis guy, but I think over the course of 60 minutes, that guy just does enough nonsense. If you're an opposing team looking at him, otherwise it's art. It's beautiful. What he does, it's gorgeous. Wish he could stay here 4 more years. He's not going to get stymied for 60 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
I'm really interested in that matchup a lot. I was talking about that earlier. I didn't finish my thought, but about how many of those guys on this offense have played like in an environment like this, and it ain't many. But I'm really interested in the Jordan Travis, Kenny Dillingham versus Brent Venables, because Venables is about as good as it gets, and I thought Dillingham was great on him today, talking about him as a defensive coordinator and why he's so good. All he wants to do is attack you, but he attacks people in different ways depending on what they do. So you can't even go from like, okay, well, this is how they defended Georgia, so this is what they'll do against us. Or this is how they defended Pitt. No, he's like, some defenses you just know what you're going to get. Clemson, you never know what you're going to get. It varies from game to game. And they're very well coached. They tackle well. They have good players. They still have very good players on the defense. They've lost a few, but they're still really good. I want to see what Brent Venables is going to do to take Jordan Travis away, because that's all they care about. When you imagine turning on Florida State film the last 3 weeks, who's at the top of the scouting report? It's 13.
Right.
It's got to be. It's not even close. It's 13. We've got to limit what he does. Well, how are they going to do that? What is their plan to do that? And then what is Dillingham's counter to that? I mean, this is important just for the development of the program, for the development of Dillingham and Travis, because this is as good as it gets. This is one of the best defense in the country, with maybe the best defensive coordinator in the country, going up against your offense that's still up and coming and trying to prove himself. This is a great test, not just for Jordan Travis and how he handles the moment. How does Dillingham handle the moment? What does he put in place to counteract what he thinks Venables is going to do? And Buddy, Kenny, I love you. We haven't heard it lately. Don't come at us on Monday morning and say, well, they did 4 things we had never seen before and we just weren't ready for it. We haven't heard that in a while. Let's keep that. Let's keep that in the past. But there are going to be some things that Venables does that they might not be ready for. How do they counter that? Not just for this game and how important it is, but moving forward. This, you think, might be your quarterback for the next 2 years. You've got to figure out a way to adjust to the adjustments. And I'm genuinely fascinated with what they do there. Are they going to do the Syracuse where they just throw it out wide for 3 yards at a time? Are they going to do more of a North Carolina game plan where it's heavy run with shot plays? All of it, man. Will they throw it 20 times? Will they run it every down? Those are all the things I'm really curious to see, what they think their best way to attack Venables is, and what Venables thinks is the best way to keep Jordan Travis under wraps.
The offensive line, how much concern do you have whether or not they're going to be fully healthy? We're not going to really find out this week, everybody. So, I'm sure he'll be asked, but I think they're hunkering down over there right now. So, I just feel as though, this is apples to oranges, but like you go into Clemson 2014, and you don't have your quarterback, but like that's not going to stop you from trying to win the game, and you end up winning the game. I don't want to get into this whole thing. I know we want to be at 100%, obviously. Every team wants to be at there, have everybody available. I don't know if they will. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Are you going to lose sleep over it? If they don't have Gibbons and DLT starting?
No, I don't lose sleep over anything, Aslan. You know that. Okay. When Daddy wants to sleep, Daddy sleeps. Nothing keeps him awake. But yeah, that's a concern, right? Like they're the starters for a reason. It would be very beneficial against this defense to have your 5 best linemen out there. Your collection of your 5 best linemen. But I don't know if DLT is one of those guys right now because of the injury. So I don't know. I think they're good enough, whatever they have on the offensive line, because I do think Maurice Smith is healthier now, maybe healthy. I think Big Baby's played relatively well. I think the two tackles have played relatively well. Again, big test coming up this week. So whether it's Brady Scott, which, you'd rather have Dylan Gibbons, let's be honest. You'd rather have DLT in there than Brady Scott. But if you got to throw Brady Scott in the mix, I still think they can run the ball. I think that's what they're going to try to do. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I am. Look, man, they're going to struggle at times with Clemson's defensive line. It's really good, and they're still a pretty average talent-wise, experience-wise up front right now. But what are these receivers going to do? Can one of them go make a play? Because I know a Clemson guy is going to make a play or two. As maligned as they've been, they're one of the leaders in the country in drop passes. They got some dudes that can play. I think they're getting the Ngata kid back, Nada, however you pronounce that, Justin Ross. Those guys can play, man, and they're going to make some plays. Will your receivers make plays? One-on-one, either a jump ball, actually beat a guy off the line of scrimmage, get open and make plays. Can you make guys miss? That was another thing Dillingham brought up. He's like, what you see is there might be a hole, and you might get to the free safety at 9 yards, and you only got 9 yards because they make tackles. And maybe that was Norvell that said that. But either way,
that was Kenny.
Yeah, he's like, our playmakers got to make plays. They got to make guys miss because Clemson's a really good tackling team too. They're sound. They attack, and they're a good tackling team. So I think we like these running backs a lot. How special are they going to have to be? How special is Jordan Travis going to have to be to put up 3 touchdowns on this team? If you put 3 touchdowns on this team, number one, nobody else has done that. Maybe Pitt did, I guess, but one of them was a defensive touchdown. I don't know if they scored 3 offensive touchdowns or 2, but not many. Georgia scored 0. So not many teams score a bunch of points against this defense. If you could put up 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, man, do a replay of the 2013 game. It's going to take some special plays by your guys that make special plays. And this is, it's one thing to do it on a sleepy afternoon in Chapel Hill, not discrediting that, or against a bad UMass team. Can you make plays against elite level talent in one of the toughest places to play in America? Again, that's a step moving forward if you can.
Who has more, who's in a better mental state? That's not the right way to say it, but don't you think the Florida State's going to go in this game much more motivated and excited for the actual opportunity to line up and play a game on Saturday than Clemson is? Not to say that Clemson won't respect Florida State, but man, this feels like a boxing match, and you have upstart versus guy that's either had a bad training camp or just doesn't think that this up and comer is really all that much of a threat.
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida State naturally should be hungrier because they actually feel good about where they are. They're not, they don't feel like they've disappointed the entire campus and the entire state like Clemson has. I mean, they're just not used to this. These guys don't they don't come to Florida State to be 3-4, but you really don't come to Clemson to lose to Pitt and to beat Georgia Tech 14-8. This is nothing these guys has experienced before. This is nothing they were expecting. I think they were top 5 in the country when the season started. Florida State was not. So this has been a disappointing season for Clemson. And yes, I would think Florida State has more to play for. They should be hungrier because they haven't accomplished anything. That said, man, Dabo's built himself a good program, and I don't think it was built on sand or out of cards. I know they've lost some games, but I don't think that's something that just when you built a program of significance, that I think that mindset of still having pride in what you do matters to them. So I do think that they're not going to. I just don't see Clemson teams going through the motions. I just don't see it. It doesn't happen, especially on defense, which is where that could happen. When you think about that, usually when you're talking about a football team, it's like the defense doesn't play hard. They don't tackle well. They don't rally to the ball. They're just playing out the string because they don't care about this season anymore. We've seen that a lot around here in recent years. Clemson ain't doing that. Clemson will not do that. And that's part of their culture. That's also part of the talent and the coaching staff. But, I think Florida State should be hungrier, but I don't know that mindset's really going to matter because I know that defense still plays like it's starving. And that doesn't ever stop whether they're 4-3 or 7-0.
Hey, folks, are you interested in investing in cryptocurrencies? Probably should be, but you don't know where to get started. That's fair. It's a complicated game. Check out the Kraken app. With Kraken, you can buy and sell over 50 of the most popular cryptos like Doge, Ethereum, and of course Bitcoin, all on the go from your mobile device, palm of your hand, all the time. Super easy to get started. Just download the app. Go to the App Store, search Kraken, Kraken. Create an account, and you can invest in minutes. And the super cool thing about Kraken is that you don't need a lot of money to try it out. So Bitcoin is, I think, over $60,000 right now. My gosh. You can start with as little as $10. Really, just $10. Get it started. It takes a spark to start a fire. The Syracuse victory, that was the spark. Clemson's going to feel the fire. Find out for yourself why Kraken has been one of the highest rated places to buy crypto for the last 10 years. Visit kraken.com/warchant. That's cool if you could go there and do that. To learn more, search Kraken in the App Store. Did you get Braves tickets, Corey, for you and Brady?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it or not really? It just hurts right now.
It's a lot. It was a lot. I tried to do through Ticketmaster through the pre-sale window that I was supposed to get. I got an email with a code and everything. And so I logged on thinking, okay, let's see how this works. All right. What am I going to get, 4? Am I going to get 8? Am I going to get them for all 3 games? And, number one, as soon as I got into the lobby of the queue, there were 2,000-plus people ahead of me. It told me. And then it did a countdown. Oh. Now it's 1980. Now it's 1812. Now I got to 1. And it's like, all right, I'm ready. It's like, all right, you're free to go. Go try to sign up for tickets. And, number one, I couldn't get 4. The most they'd let me get is 2. And then probably clicked on 15, 17 different sets of tickets. All had an error code. Sorry, try again later.
Oh.
So, and I had a bunch of buddies that were doing the same thing with their deals, and they all got the same message too. So, had to go a different route. Maybe a secondary service. Maybe where the tickets are a little more expensive. So yeah, probably really don't want to talk about it.
So, are you going to be there? I mean, as everyone is listening to this, so you're going to be okay.
Friday night. I got tickets to Game 3.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Friday night. Yeah, couldn't do Saturday night because we'll be celebrating on the Hill after the big win against Clemson.
Yep.
And then Sunday night, I think the series will already be over. The Braves will have swept. So I had to make sure I get the Game 3 tickets.
Can we get to the Rock? Can we access? I don't want to touch it. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but can we get pretty close to the Rock?
I mean, after the game, you mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't you think, especially on a Saturday, they probably have guards like sitting there somewhere. I mean, we could ask. Yeah. I could be like, hey man, I left my phone down there, and then maybe they'll let me go look for it, and we could rub the rock and then run off. But I don't know that maybe you're allowed to. I mean, it's a rock. What are you going to do to it? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like a horse. I know people can't just come and pet Renegade the whole game or the whole day, but a rock is there to be petted. So I would think we could get to the Rock if we really wanted to. What do they care? We're not going to pick it up. We're not going to roll it down the hill.
I know. I'm trying to. I got a guy that works in wildlife trying to get me some doves. Tried to do a little John Woo action for the stand up with you and Ira afterwards. Just like
just release some doves into the air.
Yeah. I think people might be getting upset at this point. Maybe they think I'm being sarcastic. I really do feel optimistic about this game. There are real things to be concerned about. I do think. Will they? They're going to try. Man, no one fears these wide receivers. No offense, guys. Love you. But I don't think anybody puts tape on like, oh, watch out.
Right.
So, I mean, is it easy as just dropping, just putting 8 in the box and just covering for your dear life if you're Clemson and stopping the run? Or do they not even have to invest that much resource into slowing down Florida State's run attack?
Yeah, I don't know that initially. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not Brent Venables. I don't know that initially you got 8 guys in the box and you're whatever we do, we're not going to let them run. You probably want to see if your front 4 can handle it by themselves, or your front, and then the Skalski, the linebacker,
who's not having that great of a year. Not that great of a year according to the analytics.
Oh, okay. Well, I know he makes a bunch of tackles, but that's not always the telltale sign. I think what you worry about is just giving up a wide-open 70-yard pass. That's the one thing Venables will well, there's a lot of things he will not want to see, but that's one. Like, don't make it easy for them because you get sucked in on a play fake, and then your safety is nowhere in the middle of the field, and you give up a wide-open 70-yard pass or something. So I think initially they're going to try to play it straight up, but, again, like Dillingham said, like Travis's presence back there makes things different. I don't know that they've faced – I know they haven't faced a quarterback like Jordan that can move like he can, that is such a threat in the running game. And they will do whatever it takes, I think, to keep him off the edges. So that's when you have to make the adjustment. I can't imagine, and they have better players than North Carolina. I can't imagine they defend it how North Carolina defended it. I just can't see that happening. They will not. The one thing I think they're like, we can't let Jordan Travis beat us. I think you go into games now saying we can't let his legs beat us. Maybe have 2 spies on the guy. We can't let him get loose, get outside the pocket, break contain, make either a throw or a 20-yard run. So that's what their number one goal will be. I don't know if they put 8 in the box. I know that when you go into playing Florida State now, the first thing you do is you have to try to stop the run because that's what they do well. They haven't done that well in a long time, but the numbers are the truth, and it's been 7 out of 8 games now. It's been 6 of 7 games this year that they've rushed for over 200 yards. The last time they did that was 1995. Listen to that again, folks. 1995 was the last time they ran the ball like this. And then going back to the Duke game of the end of last year, that's 7 of 8 games they've run for at least 200 yards, and that hasn't happened since 1993. So this is new. This isn't normal, and I think Clemson knows that. Clemson knows what Florida State wants to do, so that's why again it'll be really interesting to see how Venables attacks it.
Skalski's graded out at 68.5. Xavier Thomas, that 5-star all-world guy, has been graded out at 67. What would you say, Corey, if I told you I just sorted Pro Football Focus by defensive grades? And Georgia's first in the country, Cincinnati's second. What if I told you that Florida State was 28th and Clemson was 32nd? To just further disqualify using them on the show?
I was going to say, aren't we trying to extol the virtues of Pro Football Focus? Yeah, I would say that they need to come up with a new formula to determine things. I mean, how could that be? Clemson's good. That's weird. That's a weird thing. They have Florida State ahead of Clemson in overall defensive grades?
Yeah. 85.2 for the Noles, 84.3 for Clemson. Florida State's better than Ohio State.
Yeah. Adam Fuller's better than Venables.
Yeah.
It's about time people started noticing that, guys. Yeah, that's outlandish. That's tomfoolery there. That does not make any sense. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I do think the Florida State defense is better, though. And that was a good question you asked, I thought, Aslan, to give you props to Fuller about playing the 5 guys in the secondary. And he's kind of gone with who he likes now. That's his rotation. That's what he likes. And that I guess you've noticed that even the guys that are used to playing that aren't playing seem to be engaged and willing to and good teammates, even though they're not on the field as much. Yeah, man. I saw Brendan Gant. I actually shouldn't drop names, but going back to your whole point about, again, somebody made some comment. You can't. By the way, whoever made the comment, you can't reply because I've banned you from the YouTube page. Well done, Aslan.
Hey, man, you guys think China's rough? Come to the Warchant YouTube page when you talk that talk on the Wake Up Warchant feed. I've never played. Aslan must have never played team sports before. Like, yeah, man, I get it. Listen, I played harder than anybody on all the sports teams I ever played on. Like, I hated losing. I played my rear end off in every single sport.
What was that in reference to? Why did he say that?
I don't know. I'm assuming he said that I don't know. I've never played in a team sport, probably because I downplay the whole the positive, like the whole, man, if I hear one more question about Jarvis Brownlee making an interception, I might have to take like a day off for my wellness. Shout out to him. Good job with this whole, like, everybody's cheering for him. This is an amazing thing. Like, it's important. It's not a bad thing. I just, man, when it comes down to it, and yeah, there's like 87,000 people going crazy in Death Valley and whatever Memorial Stadium on Saturday. Man, I don't know if you're going to look at the other guy and be like, man, I'm going to make this play for you. I don't know if Fabian's going to look at Coop and be like, Coop, I love you. I ain't letting you down. And Coop's going to be like, Fabian, I love you.
Do you think that, like Jernigan was looking across at Goldman and saying that?
No.
No, but that's my point. It's not something where you say in the moment, this is for you, dog. This is for you, dog. It's what you do during the week. It's holding each other accountable. It's all that stuff that actually goes into being a team. And not just a bunch of individuals trying not to be embarrassed, but an actual team that, okay, man, whatever the case may be, Jarvis might not make this tackle. I need to bust my ass to get over there to help him. But, I think you should be doing that anyway. That should always be your mindset, but clearly it isn't. We've been around. We've watched this program long enough. You can't tell me that you think the way they've looked the last 3 weeks isn't different than what we've seen the last 3 years. And I don't think it's just confidence. I think that helps, but I think it's that they do seem to like each other, and they seem to believe in their coaches. And I do think that matters, man. I just do. I don't think it's, man, this is my brother in the foxhole. I ride and die with this guy. I don't think it's that like before each play.
We're making it sound like that, though. I think that's my concern. Because no, I think Kenny pointed out how Jordan talked about like we're just fed up. So he's like we're fed up, man. That's what changed. So we just got sick of losing. And then Kenny went into his whole thing like, yeah, losing sucks. Like you get sick of it and you change. Like that's a real thing. And maybe there was Unity Council. Whatever they market that thing as, we're like, hey man, like I'm sick of this, and we're like, what do we need to do to make it stop? Yeah, that's a real thing. Like, yeah, you're human beings with it's all based on relationships. I absolutely believe in that, but like sometimes you just get a little too lost in the romanticism of, like we're all going to come together and we're going to rally around this one thing, and no more, we're not going to take it. Play the Twisted Sister, crank it up to 11, guys. So that was my response to that.
I think it's more about it, honestly, even more than like we love each other, we play for each other, we like each other. It's just about accountability, man.
Yeah,
I think that, but I also think that accountability comes from if you're close with the guys and you feel like you have a connection with them, then you don't have a problem calling them out. You can get away with that, man. And there's plenty of stories about Telvin's leadership when he was at Florida State, and that they all respected him. He respected most of them, I assume, but he called people out. You can be a leader when when you've got guys that care about what you're saying, and care with you. Like you're all trying to do the same thing. I do think that matters, not to the point that they're gonna beat Clemson by 50 points, but yeah, I think more than anything, it goes to a program can only be so good until the players take hold of it. And when Dillingham was talking about the penalties, and of course I say this knowing they might get 14 on Saturday, but when he was talking about the penalty, they only had one offensive penalty the whole game, and it was a offensive pass interference that didn't seem like he really agreed with. But he said when he brought up the Jordan Travis thing and like losing sucks, and he's like jumping off sides causes losses. We're tired of losing like this, so quit jumping off sides. At some point, you have to make the change. But it comes from, like, caring about the people that you play with and not just going through the motions to try to get another, well, now we're done with this season. I don't know. By the way, a completely different topic, changing direction. Did you see what our man Corey Durden did in that game?
I saw some tweets, but
I didn't know that until I watched the game. I watched the condensed version on YouTube last night. I think Miami was lining up for a field goal to tie the game. It's 27-24. They're lining up for a 25-yard field goal. They're not even set yet. And my man jumps off sides and gives them a first down. Miami scores a touchdown 2 plays later and wins the game. Hey, Durden, big time, has some talent, has played well for that team, is a good player. Yikes.
Okay.
Hey, I just that dawned on me. I was like, man, yeah, that's kind of some stuff we saw here. Not saying the kid is a losing football player, because he's not. He's a very good football player when he wants to be, and he's played very well for them. But man, that's some old FSU-ish right there. Team's tying the game. You've won. Team's going to tie the game. You have a chance to go win the game, and you're not even trying to block the punt or block the kick. And you jump off sides, and they go and take the lead and win the game.
Yeah, that'll sting.
Yeah,
that'll sting the nostrils. Back to that point. I mean, last thing I got to make. Well, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to make anything here. Because riding you today, Corey. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Clark. You got it.
Isn't it? We all look for the reason why this is turned around. And we hope that the worst is behind them. I do think the worst is behind them. I think you might even agree to that.
Yeah.
And we're like, we want this explanation. Like there has to be something, which is I guess why I'm so resistant and a little bit obtuse when it comes to the wrapping my arms around them wrapping their arms around each other kind of variable in all this. Which again, it's part of the mix. I just don't think it's not the second main ingredient in this delicious cake that we've had for all of October.
I also think it's more important from like January to August. Don't you? Kinda?
Yeah.
When you're talking about building a culture, like everybody wants to win on Saturday, and they should be taking games or practices seriously during the year because you don't want to get embarrassed. You'd hope. I think when this could really manifest itself, and when it does manifest itself, is in the offseason. That's a long 8 months, man. You got to do a lot of crap just to get ready to play 12 games. I think that's where that accountability and the culture and players singing Kumbaya can really help out and help a program. But anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. It's the two things that kind of stood out is like we're never going to get any kind of explanation because I don't know if there really is an explanation for why this thing turned around. But it was Kenny's point about as something as simple as not getting penalized. Like the fact that this team can avoid second and long makes them so dangerous and pretty much unstoppable, maybe. Right. But they're just completely different the way they can operate when they're not behind the chains. I mean, every team strives to do that, but I don't know how many teams really can be so efficient and effective when they are able to not shoot themselves in the foot and stay ahead of things. And then on top of that, when we're sitting here and talking about what changed, how far they've come, and then Norvell points out the fact that he really thinks part of it was that Syracuse game, or a large part of it was the Syracuse game, and not playing clean and coming back and winning on a last possession. It's so bizarre when you really think about that this program, how high they've been, and how far removed it feels like they've been, which really hasn't been that long, but it just seems like you get, I'm guilty of it, obviously. I'm very week to week. I need to probably not be as week to week on this show, but I am. It's hard to kind of like, let's just give it a few more weeks. Let's marinate. Let's be patient. Because that Syracuse game was just so grossly mismanaged by Syracuse. And you can say Florida State put the stress on them and give credit to Florida State for that win, but I feel that was so much more of just Syracuse giving it away. Just terrible clock management, not having really any kind of cohesive idea of how they want their offense to operate with that kid now being their quarterback. But that doesn't matter because Florida State won that game, and the fact they were able to win a game in that fashion, it's crazy for me to think if Syracuse doesn't give the ball back or if that field goal is missed and it goes to overtime and something crazy happens, we're not here right now. But they did win that game. And like when we write this story, when we're in Pasadena, or I want to be in Phoenix. Like I said, I've never been to Phoenix, never been to Fiesta Bowl. Maybe we'll be there when the Fiesta Bowl's the national title game. Like that's the game that we're supposed to come back to. I mean, the coach said it himself. Like 2-3 years from now, Florida State's, going for a playoff berth. Like that was the game. Those moments. Thank you, Dino.
It's to a much lesser extent. But I remember Jimbo a couple of times pointing to there were two games that he always thought kind of propelled them on a national championship run, and they both happened in 2012. It was the Clemson game when they got down by 2 scores early and then came back and steamrolled them in the second half, and then the Virginia Tech game later that year. Like there was a lot of pressure on that game because if they don't win it, Clemson's going to the ACC championship game. And it would have been a bad loss because that was not a good Virginia Tech team. You had a lead until late. And then EJ hits, I think Wilder gets a first down on a 4th and 1, even though they ran for like minus 20 yards in that game. He got a tough yard for a 4th and 1 conversion. And then EJ hits Rashad for the game-winning score, like a 40-yard touchdown. That team learned to win big games in big moments because the 11 team didn't. And, you could go back to I think there are moments like that where you can point to in the birth of a program or the rebuilding of a program. This is obviously you're starting at a much lower place than you were in 2012. But, yeah, I mean, I think that could be – it's just – man, when you do this long enough like you and I have done, confidence is just goofy. It's just goofy. Like, why would you have more confidence after making the kick against Syracuse than you did after, I guess, missing the kick against Notre Dame or throwing the interception at the end of the Louisville game? Like, those games came down, they were so close. They came down to a couple of plays, but because you made a couple of extra plays, or maybe even, more weirdly, Syracuse just didn't make plays. But you took advantage and went and won a game. All of a sudden you feel good about yourself. I don't know why that matters so much. I'm not a psychologist, but confidence matters a lot. And they got confidence, whether it was earned or Syracuse gave it to them. They got confidence from a close win. And then that turned into a comfortable win. And then it turned into a blowout win. Now it turns into something, a much bigger challenge, but still, confidence matters, man. Confidence is such a big deal. And it's hard to explain. Nobody's ever really been able to put a finger on it, as far as momentum and how much confidence goes into momentum. But I remember watching that Florida State basketball team way back in 2009, Aslan. I'm going way back to the hits when they hadn't been to the tournament since Leonard had gotten there. They're on the road at Clemson, a game they kind of need to win. It'd be a great feather in their cap. Clemson's 10th in the country. And they're down 19 with 10 minutes to go. And all of a sudden, Alabi hits a turnaround hook. Laux hits a 3. Douglas hits 4 shots in a row. They outscore Clemson like 26-6 the rest of the way and win that game, and then win like 9 of their next 12, 9 of their next 11 to get into the tournament comfortably, like as a 4 seed. It's just crazy, But how does the season pan out if they don't make that comeback against Clemson? I know that Mike Snare made a shot against Duke, and all of a sudden, anytime he had a shot late in the game, he knew he was going to make it. So, confidence is weird, man.
Shout out to Jimbo11 who posted this on the Tribal Council. These are updated. I'm going to give them to you now. But he ends it. These are the FPI, whatever, Football Performance Index that ESPN uses. Even if these percentages are off, we will be decided underdogs in most of our remaining games. Many of our fans think we are going to run the table or go 4-1. I just don't want the Fire Norvell mob to emerge with our next loss. So I'm wondering, would it be deflating if they lose to Clemson? I don't think it would be.
No, I think if they got blown out, it would be deflating.
Would that even be deflating? Okay.
Yeah, well, if they turn it over 7 times and there's a reason for it, but if we go back to seeing dudes running free and we go back to seeing the offense just melting down and not having a cohesive plan. But I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I think you're going to lose. You're going to lose a couple of games at least, probably, because you're probably just not as good as the teams playing you.
But who do you lose to? So this was Saturday.
You're a 10-point underdog here. You're going to be a double-digit underdog at Florida, probably.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then look, man. I think it was Miami and NC State are both losable games. I mean, apparently the Miami kid can actually throw. Their backup quarterback can play. That's
they
losable.
can't tackle, though. They made a good stop on either 4th down. I think, 4th down. NC State went for.
Yeah.
They had the guy, that Thayer Thomas kid who ate us alive last year.
He's still there, folks. Sorry. Yeah. He's still there.
But great open field tackle. But before that, I heard everybody tweeting and talking about Miami's the worst tackling team in the nation. I don't know if there's an actual stat on that, but my goodness, they are horrible. I mean, I watched a good portion of that NC State game. I mean, not only do they whiff, but they bounce off guys. It's terrible. They really are a poor tackling team. But real quick, so the Clemson game, the likelihood Saturday was 10.2% Florida State's going to win it. That is now up to 15%. NC State, 25%. That's now up to 33%. Miami game was a 34% likelihood of victory for Florida State on Saturday. It is now ballooned up to 41%. Boston College is 44%. That is up 12 points. Before the UMass game, and the Florida game has jumped up 3 points. So
you're telling me that
Florida State is also bleeding into the analytics too now.
I mean, I was gonna say though, man, I don't know.
The Florida game.
They think Miami's going to be favored. They think Miami's going to be favored in that game. I mean, maybe if they go up and beat Pitt and play well against Pitt, but what if they go out and get torched by Pitt like everybody else does besides Clemson, and they're going to come into Tallahassee 3-5? Florida State might be 3-5 too, but Miami's going to be favored. We think that? I can't imagine a formula where Miami's got a 60% chance to win in Doak. That equates to what, a 4-point favorite on the road? I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. Like I said, they can lose to everybody left on their schedule, but that's weird to me. And it's weird that they think NC State has a 67% chance to win. They just lost to a Miami team that was ready to quit. So we'll see how they bounce back from that.
Bubba
you know what
Bolden,
I'm saying, Aslan? I'm not scared.
Yeah, I don't know. This is probably not updated with either. Bubba Bolden's out for the season. safety for Miami.
Yeah,
so
that's right. They have 2 true freshman safeties starting against Pitt this week and for the rest of the year. So again, okay, you can have your formulas, and I know I bring up FEMRAU a lot, but that's I wouldn't say that makes it sound like they're more likely to go 0-5 than like 4-1 or 3-2, and I don't see that. But again, I guess I'll have a better opinion after Saturday, right? Because that's a real test. But yeah, man, I think the way they've looked, if they should go into that game confident Saturday, they can beat Clemson. I think they have a better than 15% chance to beat Clemson. I think that's low. But if they play hard and play competitive, and that's a fourth quarter game, no matter how it ends, unless it ends in just staggeringly dumb fashion, no matter how it ends, if it's a game in the fourth quarter in that place, after what the depths that we've been through in that rivalry in the last 3 or 4 years, I think you build off that. I think that maybe it's not a huge step forward, maybe it's not even a step forward, but I don't think it's a step backwards. And just because you lose a game doesn't automatically mean it's a step backwards, especially when you're 3-4 and you've done what you've looked like the way Florida State's looked the last 3 or 4 years. You're looking for positive momentum. It is possible, even against a mediocre Clemson team, to keep a little bit of momentum going, even in a loss, depending on how it looks and how you play. Yes or no, Aslan? Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
All right. Well, that's
no,
you.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I think something will have gone wrong if they don't make a bowl game.
Ooh, I don't know if I'm there. Well, yeah, something went wrong in September, but I don't think I'm there yet. But yeah, because 3-2 still. I mean, if you beat Miami, NC State, Boston College, and then one, your 3 coin flip games, which I'd call them. Yeah, you're in the. But I just don't know if you can count on that. But maybe you can, buddy. Maybe you can. Maybe you'll win all 5.
But
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I don't know if the North Carolina, like I said, the Jacksonville State game is never going to be erased ever. But I think the North Carolina game took the sting off of it because as you sit here and you are 3-4, again, we thought this team was going to be 6-6, 5-7, 7-5, somewhere in that window. The Notre Dame game we obviously thought was going to probably be a tough one to win. Louisville beat you by 30-something points last year. That was a bit of a coin flip. You thought you were going to be able to beat Syracuse. You did beat Syracuse. Okay, you lost to Jacksonville State, but the North Carolina game, even though you would beat them last season, you're still like, all right, well, they're probably going to be a little bit upset about that. You're going to North Carolina to play that game. So they're really, despite the Jacksonville State game, they're really not that far off the pace we envisioned for them. And then now as you sit here, Clemson is much, much, much more vulnerable than you ever could have possibly imagined. NC State's probably about where you thought they would be. Miami is a bit more vulnerable than you anticipate, although we'll see. Man, they got 2 more weeks with this quarterback for him to maybe get confident, and then it could be a completely different game. And it is a rivalry game. Emotions are a real thing in the sport of football, so I'm not counting my chickens before they were hatched. Boston College is nowhere near as good as I thought they were going to be.
Right.
Defensively, though, maybe they figure something out. That's the only way they beat Florida State is if they figure out a way to drag it into like a 24-20 game. But Florida State scores 30 points whenever Jordan Travis is playing quarterback. So, and then the Florida game. I still think the Florida game is maybe it's a little bit more favorable than what you thought, but we'll see how that Richardson kid looks against Georgia, and I'm sure that's probably going to ruin any kind of
it's a good test, though, man. Like it's a good test for where this program is. These last 5 games as a collective. Last year, it did not matter who this team played, whether they were average or not. They got blitzed. They did not compete. The games were over in the third quarter. Almost all of those losses, some were embarrassingly so. That doesn't seem to be the case this year. So you can look at it on the whole. Say they finish 4-8. Say they finish 4-8, but of these next 4 losses, 3 of them are by a touchdown or less. That'll be it. We'll be done with like moral victories, and I'm not calling those moral victories. But again, when you step back and look on the whole, if they're in games in the fourth quarter instead of playing backup quarterbacks because the games are out, you've taken another step.
No,
and you can look back at the beginning
Do you think
of
so,
the season. Absolutely. I mean, look, wins and losses matter. I'll never be the guy that says they don't. But what's the difference between 4-8 and 5-7? It still sucks, But
it could be a win over Miami, though.
That'd be absolutely.
Miami, it could be a win over Clemson.
It'd be great if you could get a win over Miami. That would be great. I'm not saying that doesn't matter. It does matter, But I'm just saying, as you step back and judge the progress of a program, it might be going slower than you wanted, but is it on a trajectory that even if the incline isn't, what is that, 90 degrees? If it's more of a 15-degree incline or a 30-degree incline, it's still an incline, as opposed to going straight or a decline. So I just hit the microphone when I did it. I was actually, as I was saying incline, I was doing it with my hand.
I like that.
You like that?
Speaking
That's
with
kind
your
of
hands.
Communicator I am.
That's litigator right there. That's the John Clark coming.
That's
down.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's public speaking, right?
Yep.
To emphasize a point. So yeah, I think there's a chance that you could, even if they finish 4-8, 5-7. I mean, last year they were 3-6, and I made it a point a bunch of times. They were real close to being 0-9, and they didn't have to play Clemson in Florida. That was the worst team of our lifetimes. It was a terrible football team, a Florida State football team. This team is better than that. This team would beat that team by 3 scores at least. That's a step. Is it a big enough step? It's up for y'all to decide. It is a step. And if they finish out this season with 1 or 2 wins, but they look like they've looked these last 3 weeks, I think you get a little bit excited at least, even going into a year coming off a 4-8, 5-7 season, about the steps that were made, not just from last year to this year, but were made even from September on. And look, man, what's crazy when you really look at it, right now they're 3-4, which is nowhere kind of we hope they wouldn't be here. They have the goofy loss to Jacksonville State. Like you say, if we just want to throw that out and concentrate on the FBS teams they played. They're 3-3, and 2 of their losses were on the last, well, I can't use that one. One of their losses was on the last play of the game in Notre Dame, but Notre Dame and Wake Forest are combined 13-1.
Yes.
The Wake Forest is good. They're like 12th in the country. So you got your quarterback hurt in that game. The guy that you really should have been playing the whole time got hurt in that game, and you turned it over 6 times. If you played Wake Forest right now, that would be a dogfight. Wake Forest would not feel 100% confident going into that game, and that game would be a fourth quarter game, and you might very well win it. That's how improved they are. But let's not sleep on Wake Forest and Notre Dame, man. They've got four losses. 2 of them are to teams that are in the top 15 in the country and are combined, whatever I said, 13, 14-1.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe we made it to an hour on this show. I wasn't really
unbelievable. But that's because yesterday or tomorrow during the World Series we might do a 12-minute show.
Okay, I'm not.
We gave everybody our money's worth.
Wednesday's Renegade Express. We should go long on those.
Hey boy, that's gonna be a late night, Aslan. It's gonna be a late night.
Man, I think the losing ugly is over. So I get your point. What's the difference between 4-8, 5-7? If they're in these close games, it'll be growth. We'll feel good about it. But I think we're on to the next. I think we're on to the next chapter. Maybe
I hope so too.
Maybe I'm being irrational and practical, but I think losing ugly is now done. So if they were to be in these next 5 games in the fourth quarter and they go 1-4, then the conversation starts becoming, well, here we are now. They can't figure out ways to close teams out, and they're doing things,
right.
Which is a good place to be when you had lost to an FCS team 5 weeks ago. Or however long it was.
And got pummeled by NC State last year at Bailey Hawkman NC State, and got pummeled by that Pitt team, and got pummeled by Louisville. These are steps, but I agree with you. I think they're past that. I think that close losses or narrow wins or however these next 5 games go, I think next year is when that's done. Like the floor is now. You don't get flowers for just losing close anymore. Like that's what next year is. I think if you finish 5-7, 4-8, but you're competitive and you look something to be proud of, at least the way you fight and play. You still got to go get players now, but at least you're playing hard, and you're a likable enough team, and you have an identity. You run the ball. I think that's something you can build on in the next season. But that's done. You won't be hearing me say this stuff again next season about, well, look, they only lost to Miami by 6. They only lost. No, at some point you got to start winning games. And maybe I hope it's the next 5 games, buddy. I'm not saying it can't happen. I think it can happen. Screw what FEI says. They don't know what they're talking about.
What makes this show beautiful that we disagree on this. Because, again, I think if they don't go to a bowl game, something has gone wrong. And you're like 4-8's okay. So that's good.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. No, it's not okay.
Well,
it's just, come on, buddy. I'm a winner. You know that.
Yeah.
I didn't come down here to cover a 4-8 football team. Are you kidding me? No way, buddy. All I do is win. So, but that being said, compared to where they were, I can appreciate that they've made progress, but it's certainly not the progress we want to see, and it's probably not fast enough, but it is at least progress. That's what I was saying. But yeah, I don't want my words to get twisted where I'm like okay with 4-8.
Okay.
Because screw this, man. I'm tired of it.
Okay.
I'm a Braves fan, man. I'm a winner.
Let's go, man. What are you doing for the first game? What are you doing tonight?
I'll probably try to take a nap or a walk.
I thought you said you were going to watch every...
I am. I was just kidding. I'll watch it. I'm just probably at home, I guess.
By yourself? I thought we talked that wasn't a good thing watching it by yourself.
Brady. I'll have Brady with me. But probably, yeah. I don't know if buddies are having... Maybe I'll go over to a buddy's house. You're right. You talked me into it. I don't care if it's going to be a late night. Brady can go to school late. I don't care.
There we go. That's right. That's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant. Fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Don't forget, Seminole Headlines, 1 to 3 p.m. That's live on Warchant TV and 93.3 FM in Tallahassee. If you can't catch it live, the replay is up on our YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Have a great day, everybody. Go be a champion. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.